Out of the frying pan and into the flyer, folks. This is the end of Goblin Mode. I'm Dan Casey. This is Sagas of Sundry Quests and Answers. We're talking about the epic Goblin Mode finale. And to join me, as always, my amazing cast.
Danielle Radford.
Amy Vorpahl.
Jason Nguyen.
And folks, I think it should go without saying, especially if you're watching this or listening to this, you have made it to the bitter-sweet end. That means there are going to be spoilers, not just for the finale of Goblin Mode, but the entire campaign. So we're going to be looking back at the entirety of the series with a special focus on what just happened in the previous episode. We are so excited about what's to come, and we're so excited for the story we got to tell. So first and foremost, thank you to everyone out there who's listened, watched, supported us, joined us on this journey. It's been the privilege of a lifetime for us to tell this story, and thank you from everyone in front of the camera and behind the scenes. It's just been a real blast getting to make something special and put it out into the world for all of you folks to experience alongside us. So with that said, I want to start off by talking about the episode that just unfolded, the epic finale, episode 20 of Goblin Mode. And this was one, it was full of so many epic set pieces, so many unexpected moments, and definitely a long overdue encounter. It was a nice bookend to the series. It began with the Yester Dusters, and it ended with the Yester Dusters. Or rather, we ended the Yester Dusters.
I mean, it was some really, really bad rolls, and yeah, I mean, they're powerful adventurers, and the fact that you were able to take them down kind of one by one does give really poetic justice to where you started out in a pit running from them, and then where you are now, which was defeating them one magma at a time. Yeah, the magma did kind of worse damage to them than it did to you. Like the environment, it was like, what is happening?
You gave us a very, I thought, cool choice at the beginning of the episode. It was like a boon from Euthys.
Yes.
She granted us a choice. She would either restore us to full HP or restore our spell slots. And Phibbs chose to restore his spell slots despite sitting pretty at 3 HP the entire episode.
Yes.
Wow.
But I did this because one of the things with the Staff of Rolbear that lets Phibbs do is take these different forms. And you said the tree has 100 HP. The giant boa constrictor snake in the monster manual has 60 HP. So I'm like, okay, well, I will switch forms if I'm getting low. And I will switch forms just to stay alive. But I just tried to wait until the bitter end to finally morph back into Phibbs and hope for the best, that I didn't get hit by like a passing crow or something.
Yeah, that I was doing, like by the end of it, it was like, oh, they have all artifacts of the Sundari.
Yeah.
That is many and very powerful stuff. And, you know, I wrote them to be like, well, if they got one, well, that would be amazing. And if they got two, wow, with how powerful. But you wound up, especially like, you plucked the ring of Sigrita right off of Taganuk.
Before he burned to death?
Yeah, melted.
Yeah.
I think that definitely of everyone, Taganuk had the most brutal
He just
demise.
couldn't.
Yes.
He couldn't get a leg up,
couldn't
man.
catch a break.
He can cast some
Covered
pretty
in Loof's webs, set on fire,
Immediately.
attacked by a snake, shot in the face.
And, you know, if he would have been able to reveal that I was not actually, that Busy was not actually.
Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He couldn't. He was
the
like,
only one who knew.
He was the only one
He was
who
the
even
only-
suspected.
Which is why he had to die. Narcs died.
had
But
to die.
everyone, your
Stitches
speech,
get stitches.
Oh,
Yeah.
Busy, your
100%.
speech of like, oh no, you're just day's over, go home early. Like the other two just bought it, and that like wouldn't have happened if you weren't level 4, and if you didn't take the actor feat, and like all of that was just, there were just so many. Not favors, but you were in favor. Like the game had your favor in so many ways.
And it was definitely like I had two, so I obviously cantrips I can do for whenever. I had one spell slot left because I needed to get my HP back.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at the things that I can do, and that's why I decided, since I have the Mask Charm that doesn't take a spell slot, so I was like, hey, let's just, even if I can't necessarily attack them without, but I know they're powerful, so I would like to not be attacked. I just wanted to,
So
again,
funny.
distract
It's so
them
good.
and say like, hey, if I can get them to leave, great. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but if I can trick them enough where they're at least confused so that we can get a couple of rounds on them,
Well, it also-
every little bit helps.
It's a good bookend too because Phibbs did disguise self Unzug early, and it was like
And it was bad.
trash.
Yeah.
Because he never really seen him.
okay.
It was trash. It was literal
No,
trash.
you did your best. It wasn't your fault. Your best was garbage.
You didn't take the actor feat
Yeah,
yet.
it's true. I took the took the disaster feat.
Like,
No,
yeah.
I got my feat by the end.
Yeah.
I got
Yo.
telekinesis.
Yeah,
You were doing everything with that-
pushing people
That
into
was
magma.
key. I mean, I would argue that probably did the most damage with
I think
pushing
so.
people into lava.
It is one of the most in any game, especially any Star Wars game. It's nothing more joyful than force pushing someone off a ledge, and this was that to the nth degree because there are arch nemesis, even though they probably haven't thought about us at all since they left.
It was
For them, it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is so playground, like little kid pushing. But it's like, oh yeah, it's not if there's magma on the other side of the step.
The floor is lava, so
floor
he
It was
Lava.
absolutely lava.
Yes.
Listen,
And then the ceiling was rocks.
yeah. But again, like I feel like the freaking Dusters took a lot more damage than y'all did.
It was perfect to me because I feel like what a beautiful organic way for the Terror Squad to be doing combat. Like, I couldn't imagine it any other way. I'm blasting, you're casting, and Busy's lying through her teeth. Like,
yes.
that's just how it has to go down.
Yeah.
Busy full on, like now, like rogue and actor with the actor feat, with the bard stuff. Busy is just straight up a con woman.
The
Yeah.
actor feed is crazy. Oh my god! When you're like, specifically with disguise self, I'm like, they didn't know what to do.
No,
They're just
no.
like, all right, boss, sure thing, boss.
Yep, that's it. And then they don't attack you, and they were about to leave before the magma started firing up. But
Well,
it
and
was
then Crandall, because Crandall doesn't have the actor feat, so Crandall had to be like, "Ew, you're so scary,"
He
and it's like,
almost
just
blew it.
stand there.
He
Yeah,
almost blew
Crandall
it.
being Crandall and everything up.
He did almost Greg things up.
yeah. Crandall was
He
a
did almost correct things.
he was for me like I always wanted him to be a magic item that had negative effects. Just if him being around is a bad thing for you specifically. Obviously, he does come with his insights and intelligence that managed to help things out, but it was important that he stuck around, and I think we did see him really be a real stinker in this episode too. So I don't know why I like Crandall. I don't think I do, but it's just like you've gotten so many good magic items. It feels like Crandall has to be this balance in the force negative magic item.
Crandall is like when you're on a web page and you get a pop-up saying like, "Hey, you've been browsing for a while. You should make a free account to keep reading."
Yeah.
Oh, gosh,
Shut
yeah,
up,
such a
Crandall.
buzzkill.
Just
Yeah.
tell me the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you subscribe,
it.
$5.99
Oh my
a
God,
month.
Crandall, I will kill you.
And then he just keeps sending you emails like 5 times a day.
I did have a very dark thought when we were all up in the air. I'm like, if Crandall's the only person falling, do I save him?
I mean,
If he's the only person falling, it's Phibbs' personal trolley problem. Do you save him? And the answer is, unfortunately, despite all of Phibbs' impulses, yes, because he could have valuable information about Unzug, and that's
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Well, the Marks was on his side too from the very beginning.
Yeah,
because he did have some Unzug.
what I mean, can we talk about the sort of last sort of challenge we had coming out of the volcano for a second? I have never been more stressed in my life, being knocked out last minute by a falling rock, unconscious, and then when you didn't grab the ladder, I was like, "No way, you're not doing this to me. You're not gonna sacrifice yourself.
I was
no,
ready
you're not
to.
doing that." I know you were. I had to. I was worried that I wouldn't get stabilized and I wouldn't get to like try to
Yeah.
save my
I
friend's life.
did have some backup plans though.
Okay,
Because
all right.
that's why I wanted my spell slots restored, because I could have done one more vortex warp to save someone else.
Got it.
Like Pakara. if
Is
she'd
that
been,
is that a
like-
first level spell
It's
slot?
a second level spell.
So good.
It's really
very
cool.
good.
So
and
good.
I didn't even know it existed, but I was just like, I thought about it because thinking back to Erdker Fathom when you were a dead body, I was able to Misty Step because the life had left you. You were effectively a
Right.
meat object. But if you're sentient, if you're alive, like I needed something, and this is specifically something that you can use to teleport people, either with their permission or against their will, with a con save if they choose not to be teleported.
So dope.
Yeah.
But I was saving my first level spell slots because I still had, I was saving a second level because I still had a Misty Step I could have done to save myself. But I was also I was keeping Featherfall just in case to like, okay, can you guys try and throw me the ladder one more time? One more time. But
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry, every time you say Misty Step, it just sounds like something that you're doing at a graduation party. Like, okay, everybody, get down on the floor. It's time to
Yes.
Misty
It's time to do the
Step.
Misty
all right,
See what
Fibs
we-
Cha-Cha's real smooth at first level.
I slide to the left.
Busy will slide to the right.
And Pakara, like she's a goblin, a bit of a chaos agent, just slamming a harpoon right into
my
Busy's
God, I was like,
body.
"Hey,
I was like, there's
Killed
no
Bitsy.
other way. Yeah, I guess.
Like that was the math she did.
Look, when your only tool is a harpoon, I guess every problem becomes a whale.
But it wasn't the only solution because at the end of the day, you had seen that Unzug, as her champion, was able to.
Not Unzug.
Yeah, Unzug as Euthys's champion was
Yeah.
able to pull her wherever he wanted her. It did come
That's
back.
what I remembered, yeah.
come back to play as the real Euthys's champion.
I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if she would be too busy saving some dwarves, but I just
I'm
knew.
so glad you thought of that because
Well, it was really like a last-ditch effort because I was like, there's no way my little weird like ear wings are gonna keep us afloat, even with the feather fall. I was like, I'm just going to, the first time we actually get to interact with a deity, and I am supposedly her champion, I'm gonna call on it and see what happens. And
Yeah.
so glad she came.
That is the most Tippy thing to do. Like the second God leaves the room, being like, "You're my champion. Call me if you need me." 2 seconds later, hey
God.
hey God, real quick.
Do you?
Please,
Sorry, all my friends are about to die. What happened?
God or bird, don't ask.
I was gone for under a minute if you calculate the real time.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
that is true.
I mean, it could be better. It is Tippy, so it could have just been like, hey, so do you like me?
I was like, what the?
So, doing a good job, you think?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Is there
We're
a
good,
championship
right?
belt I can have?
Yeah, we got to get tips. We got to get you a title belt,
Yeah.
my son.
Oh yeah, for the Goblin games,
I mean,
for sure.
well, I'm wondering what would have happened had we not defeated the Yesterdusters. Would we have fought them in the air, or would they have?
There was a. I mean, I don't know if you could tell. There was a real, pretty high percentage. I thought. Chance that one of you
would die. Would fall to the Yesterdusters.
Oh, would fall. Would
sure.
be dropped to the bottom of the magma, and that would be that. I mean, not that would be that, but it's like they're not.
I mean, magma. That would be that.
They were, yeah, they were a really balanced challenge rating for what I thought, by the way. But but yeah, I mean But you did also have, Pakara fighting alongside you too. So, and the magma again, like, did more damage to them than it did to you.
I wonder if people tooting it at home thinks that we're just absolute monsters for the way we just brutally murdered all of the Yesterdusters.
They
Look.
had it coming. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were fighting you, so it could
Listen,
be argued
yeah.
self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not good people. They are mercenaries
That's
who
true.
are like they would do anything for $1. So if it wasn't now, it was going
Yeah.
to be at some point because they were fighting for. They were okay with the entire world being messed up by the
Yeah.
scythe, by Unzug. So I would rather get them now than have to deal with them later.
Yeah, all of that does make me think of like how I thought of alignment and how I normally think of alignment, which is like, we'll just see how it goes. Like like normally in campaigns, it's like, okay, the monsters are evil and the good guys are kind of good. But this one, I was like, well, we are playing monsters, and like undead, they would say evil, like and some goblins are even classified as evil. So it was like, well, that's not fair. We want to see what the characters will do and arguably the alignment
Right.
shifted
Yeah,
real
morality
quick.
is a spectrum.
Yeah,
It's a spectrum,
We're
exactly.
good aligned. Like definitely doing a fake out reach for my hand. I promise to save you.
That was.
then blast.
I was
That's
losing
good.
my mind.
That's good aligned.
When you did it 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
I gave them the chance to leave. I kept
True.
telling them,
Yes,
like,
you
very
if you
true.
stay,
They were on their way
Very
out.
true.
if you stay, you will die. And that kept being like, well, let's see what happens. And I kept being like, you can leave now. You can
I'm
leave
on
anytime.
fire and I won't go.
yeah.
There was a moment you rolled to see if they could have been convinced.
Yeah.
And I think we like just missed it because I think we could have convinced them to leave, and we just like, leave this guy, he's dying.
It was interesting to me. Yeah, it was like, I guess maybe this whole thing. I mean, like you would still be blasted out of the volcano, and that would have been that. But yeah, there was a really, really high chance, especially with your deception, where this encounter that did a lot of damage to you, and you were fighting these people, just didn't happen. It was just the Gallantlings just moved on, and we're like, well. Yeah, Taganuk, R.I.P.
Rest in pieces.
Rest in pieces. Rest in
dumb-
burning,
you
They
dumb
deserve
burning
it.
pieces.
I stand by it. I don't think they're
Dumb
good.
I like that it's Taganuk, Varutha,
And Kathy.
Kathy.
Yeah, they have last names too.
Oh, what are their last names?
What's Kathy's last name?
Kathy's last name is Johnson.
Damn.
Kathy Johnson.
Johnson.
I just thought, I was like trying to do, like a basic party, human, dwarf, gnome, sorcerer, caster, fighter, rogue, and so I was like, Kathy Johnson makes sense. Barutha, Barrelbine, and
Barrelbine.
Taganuk, Flukenazzle. Almost Donknozzle, but not quite. Flukenazzle. And
Can
a
you
gnome, not a
imagine if he
goblin.
was Donknozzle and related to Pecora?
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
That
And
would've been
then
a twist.
A goblin gnome situation. It's like then you just have
Sister!
to ask,
Please!
who breeds true? The gnomes or the goblins? Which one is this? Who knows? Who knows? Well, that didn't happen because she's Flukenazzle. But maybe they do share some DNA on some level.
And what did you say before? If we ever got married, I would be a
Because it's matrilineal. You'd be
You
would
Tippy
be-
Donknozzle.
You would be Tippy Donknozzle.
Damn, that's a great
As opposed
name.
to Busflog or Terror Squad.
bus flog.
Oh, no wonder she could dance. Her last name is Donk.
Oh yeah.
Last name is Dawn. She got that
There.
dog.
There are cathedrals everywhere for those for eyes to see.
Jason, you told us earlier, like at lunch, that you cannot get the picture of
Well, it's
what
the
I
mo-
described of Pakara twerking
I want-
upside
I
down
love it.
out of your head.
Give the context of like everything has been so in world. I mean, to your credit, you're doing like you're so good at describing everything, and everything is so thematic. And then it's this Umbaba dance, and you're like, and yeah, so her voluptuous butt cheeks sort of just like wobble left and right, and that booty go big. And I was like, oh, wait, excuse me. And so that's why I thought I had to roll for a boner. And-
TBC versus Boyoyoing.
I roll for the boyoyoing. It was the most like out of place but like perfect thing you could describe because the last thing I thought was
I think goblins are a little horny.
yeah.
Bakura rolls for what that thang do.
A lot of motion back there.
And we go to the table to find out what it do.
What a dude.
I do want to talk about sort of where we end things.
Yeah.
Because we end things in a very kind of like tense place.
Yeah, it's not happy,
We
unfortunately.
we end in a heroic manner, but like with the prospect of war across multiple planes of realities.
Yeah.
We have the Scythe of Aurelia plotting an all-out assault across land, air, and sea. Their alliance with the giant dragon turtle that just feasted on endless corpses, and still one of the most horrifying sequences in the campaign.
Oh my god.
Right.
We also, Unzug is trekking towards where I presume the last bastion of the Sundari is on the astral plane, because that is something that's been seeded continually throughout the campaign, that they've left this world behind. They're all on the astral plane now. Like, I don't know whether they're cowering or they're waging endless war with Firaxis, but we'll find out. It's definitely kind of a shocking. I was like, when I realized, I'm like, well, I'm at like 3 HP. I can't go to a astral fortress right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, okay. there's got to be future adventures. There's got to be future things for us to resolve.
It's so hard to end a campaign
Of
and
course.
just go like, okay, I guess also, like, let's be clear. You just leveled up to level 4. Like, that is not even near the end for a character. You started at level 1. You started kind of level 0. Like, it's just, that's no place. You're not going to be fighting deities. You're not going to be fighting big necromancers. You're not
Just
gonna,
watch us.
Well, yeah.
You say that now. Yeah.
Well, the Scythe of Aurelia, especially not in the version that you saw it, was it was just not the time. But that's a lot, I think, of a level 1 through level 4. It's like you're going to be making changes and causing, obviously, like helping people and changing like the course of the world. But you guys are the butterfly's wings, not the tidal
We're
wave.
the butterfly that greets the morning.
What is it? The
We're all just Mojo.
Bumfras
Yeah.
in our
Mojo
hearts.
Bumfra.
Trying not to get atomized by every trap that we encounter.
Yeah.
I
Which,
mean, truly.
I was really looking forward to trying to use that last beat of force, but everyone was too close.
That would be great.
Every time I was trying to like find a way to use it, it would
yeah.
always be that someone was on a platform and it would
Yeah.
have hurt one of our dudes.
I did
That's
have an image
merciful.
of taking Taganook and being like, eat up.
horrible. He would have exploded.
Yeah, of course. Why else do it?
I was always going to go for him because I was waiting for him to reveal that I
Yes.
was like doing a thing.
That's good.
And
Yeah,
I
but
feel
he
like
just
that's
burned
why.
up.
Yeah, I feel like that's why we all went a little hard on him because he kept
Well,
trying
we
to
do
snitch.
have some NPCs around the party who probably will level up too. Probably not Crandall because like
Oh, goodness.
I just like him being
got more ink.
horrible.
Yeah, we have to get him a
but
new ink pot.
Loof, level up for next
Loof
time.
level up. Wow.
I'm not going to be
level
able
up.
to live in my ribcage much
What
longer.
class is Loof? Spider?
Class. That's a good. I don't know.
He's
I
a
mean-
web slinger.
She's a web slinger.
Oh, web slinger. Sure. Yeah, that would. I mean, she gets to
Ranger?
choose, right?
Yeah.
She gets to
Yeah.
decide.
Oathbreaker.
Ronnie, we have some unfinished business.
Yeah, now I'm wearing her out. I'm like wearing her crown.
You literally have, Ministora's circlet, which is Ronnie.
And if I have her circlet, because we had theorized it's easier for her. It's easier for her to always be in the throne room where like her statue is, and like it means that when it's time for her to leave, she has to skadooch. So I wonder if now that I have her circlet, she could hang out a little bit longer. Maybe
I
not
think that's
super
very
long.
probable.
Yeah.
I was admittedly very worried when you put on the circlet and it immediately injected you with like
I
3
was
sapphire
so worried.
circuit needles.
Yeah, so that circlet is a magic item that I actually built for like another project, and I was like, I really like this. Like, I'm gonna put it in this campaign
cool.
too. But
Yeah.
what it does is the magic item, you can make a target creature tell you on their next turn what they're going to do, their action, bonus action, reaction,
Oh,
movement,
wow.
and a legendary action if that's applicable. Then they must do it. So if you're out of range or
Yeah.
if they're like, you can do things to prevent that from happening. And if there's something that they declared that they can no longer do, they use that their action, their bonus act, whatever, to do nothing.
That's
Oh my
fantastic.
gosh.
Yeah, the reason I decided to attune to that and not attune to the ring was because since I was out of spell slots, I was like, well, it's Ronnie's. Maybe if I attune to it, then without using a spell slot, maybe I can like
Gotcha.
use it to call through.
I love that.
To get a hold of her, but then instead it hurt me real bad.
You probably still could have done it, but yeah, it's one of those. I mean, it messes with the mechanics in a way that's like, ooh, it doesn't feel good. Like as a dungeon master, like you would just get to know what my creature's
Yeah.
up to doing. So that it has to be mitigated in some way, and that was what it was decided. I don't know. Magic items are really fun, and building a campaign around, like the whole campaign was basically a magic item campaign.
Yeah, and I am dripping right
Oh,
now.
you
are dripping.
I have got
You are
three.
I've got
You got
my
the
ring.
ring.
I've got my crown. I've got my chalice.
Chalice.
Look.
And your clipboard.
And your clipboard.
Now my Duce cup. Like
If we play this again, like I just have to like the Lux. All these magic items might be.
But we needed them real bad.
I like that you had them to a point, But yeah, I mean, artificers are broken. Like I stand
Yeah,
by
our
artificers are
constant
broken.
duel with, are you sure you can do that? I'm
Yeah,
like,
familiars, force damage. Like
Yeah.
it's not even piercing. They're not shooting a gun. They're like magical little guys. It's like
He's just a little guy.
he's just
cute
a little
little
guy.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, some really clutch moves, but also I think artificers are broken.
Well, just like overall, Amy, like 10 episodes in, you've watched us do so much stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel? Do you feel like, do you feel like
I
it's
need a
gone to-
season 2.
Okay.
I don't feel complete. It's very weird because it does feel like, yeah, that's the end of the season, but it also, it's like there's some success, but like, did everything turn out? Not really. Like Unzug did get away. I mean, there was a version where Euthus could have overtaken him, or he could have overtaken Euthus. Either way, like, no, not, I mean, I like that you nailed the Yesterdusters, but they were but a small part of the Scythe of Aurelia and also co-aligned with Unzug too. So I feel both complete and incomplete, if I'm completely honest. And overall, very proud of what we made.
Oh, of
Very,
course. Yeah.
very, very impressed with you all, and also really proud of myself. But it's bittersweet because it's like we never got to Kalair, which like Kalair is awesome, and there's just some things that like we just kept going to Fit
Yeah.
Fettle Delve, which by nature of the fact like Unzug needed to get in there, so of course that's where he needed to go. We had to go there, but there's other. I thought we might get a little more into the wilds, not quite the desolation, which Myrfin is in the wilds, but there's the beyond, and then there's just so many other geographic locations in Sindaros that, yeah, good luck getting to all the geography.
Yeah, well, all the more reason for us to hopefully do a second season and
I'm rooting
explore
for
the
it,
rest of
man.
Sindaros and just
Yeah, it's
know.
hard not to get attached to a world, not much less difficult to get attached to the characters. And while I was like, oh, someone might die today, I was very clear I was like, okay, but we've always got Euthus, and no one's gonna die, right? No one's gonna die. It's just.
I was prepared. I was prepared to die. I fibs. It felt in character. It felt like this is a decision he would make. Like this is.
Yeah.
This is the like everything's on fire.
I saw that in your eyes, and I was
saw it
like,
too. I had sheer like panic, like.
it wasn't a comfortable feeling, which like, the dungeon master, you don't want to take a side or anything, but like, it's hard. I mean, yeah, when you died, my brain broke for a while,
Yeah,
yeah.
And so it was like, I want there to be story, I want there to be the mechanics, I want it to make sense, and also, I'm going to be taking Busy Fibs and Tippy's side all the time.
Yeah. Plus, it was my turn.
Yes.
I get to die this time.
No one's dying.
You did get harmed.
You did die.
I did.
Yeah,
You did
you
die.
did die.
But,
I did
but
die.
if you hadn't talked to Euthus, like who knows?
Yeah. I mean, my only plan was.
Can you imagine? It
I
just
don't know
ends
that
with all
Euthus-
three of our bodies missing the lantern, falling into the abyss.
I mean,
all the magic items
also
dead,
perfect
gone.
Oh, I
ending.
hope.
Like honestly,
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the ladders. I mean,
Brought
it's
to you by the
precarious.
Riders of the Mist.
It's also precarious because the magma's shooting up too.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of environment happening too.
Yeah. I think this episode was full of some like really shocking moments, and that being one of them. Like just when someone does something unexpected. I'm curious, was there, looking back over the course of the whole of the campaign, is there a moment that really shocked you, took you aback, or surprised you in either like a just exciting way, like just a fun way, or anything?
Here's an insight. So Theater of the Mind, we do have some graphics. We've got some, but I always knew like, we might go to different geographies just based on where I'm feeling the vibe is, and I can switch things up in between episodes. Okay. Because we don't have minis, we have pictures, but
Yes.
the geography, it's like
And
just change
words
the
with
picture.
which to paint a mental portrait.
That's right, and words. So the first thing that happened in episode 1, I thought I had laid the groundwork for y'all to go to the Crater of Sorrow to follow the Yesterdusters immediately. And I was like, well, clearly we're going to the Crater of Sorrow. I had episodes, what were they, 3 and 4, pretty much all figured out. and we was going to be Crater of Sorrow, and we were going to figure that out. You were going to get maybe the circlet, maybe the ring, like all of this was a Scravex, like
Oh, man.
this
Yeah.
there was going to be some stuff, and immediately you're like, I guess we go to Nakbreka, and I'm like, oh, Nakbreka, I hadn't put until like episode 16 or 17, because I was like, we can't go there, like that'll be all the factions together, that'll be crazy.
The way you described the Crater of Sorrow in the beginning, though, it seemed unscalable.
Yes.
It seemed
Yes.
so
Interesting.
huge.
I agree.
And I was like,
And we were just babies.
We're 3 babies that wandered out of Plato's cave.
Oh, that's so
and
funny.
Where do we go? I guess we'll go to a town. Instead of
I painted it
the
too
site of a
intimidating.
cataclysm that's full of the bones of
think
dead
about it.
gods who have left this plane of reality.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
well,
when you say it like
Aside
that,
from that, the Yesterdusters killed everybody.
Yeah, and I asked you, how big are these walls? You're like, a couple hundred feet.
I mean, it was like a massive, deity fight. Like,
Yeah.
of course, it's a
They
man.
So we're
murdered-
gonna go to a town and get
You
drunk.
could climb a 200-foot hill.
They've murdered all of our friends.
That is
They
true.
killed Maxwell, and I'm the last thing we did was I was teaching my friends how to eat a bat. Like, we're not gonna go fight anybody.
I know. Hearing it from the mouth of babes, it sounds so simple. But in
I'm
my
like, this
head,
is
I
a
was
bat.
like, it was like, of course they're gonna want revenge on these people.
Of course. And we always did.
And we
And
got it.
And you did, and you got
Revenge is
it, and you got it. But
Revenge is a dish best served magma hot.
so I don't want to say that's like the most surprising thing, because obviously you guys, but it was my first like, oh, this isn't going to be my campaign. This is going to be y'all's campaign, and we'll, it's your world and I'm just living in it. So it wasn't like the most shocking moment or anything like that, but it did kind of, when gears are like shifting and then they sink into place, that is what happened there, where I was like, got it. I understand my role in this game now, which always the Dungeon Master is, but you can't help it. When you're prepping 20 episodes, you cannot help, and someone fight me, you cannot help but try to write the plot on some level.
Right.
You can't help it.
No, but you also, I would argue, you need to and probably should, so there is a skeleton just in case.
I mean, yes.
Well, in this case, we have a
skeleton.
couple skeletons, but like, I don't know. It's up to us to like put meat on them bones, but like,
Yeah, and
you
it
want
has to have a structure.
yeah, you want to feel like there is that structure in place, and not like you're just kind of like open world is thrilling, but it's also crippling in that there's so much choice.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a safety net too. Like if there is something where we make a wild decision and you need to course correct, you always have all of that. And while you're doing the thing where you're kind of, plotting but not plotting out a season, that does mean, hey, they got to this place a little bit earlier. Maybe I can take this adventure, move it with this thing, and put it in this town with this NPC.
Exactly.
And you can, remix.
Well, the other thing is I didn't expect for the Marked / Pakara to become a really important part of the story. Didn't expect that. And I will say, putting a female goblin in was cool. Obviously, she took a big part. And then this last bit, I was like, yeah, we need some skeletons. And it's like, okay, we put a goblin in. The goblin character falls in love. We put some skeletons in. You try it. You make an effort, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, fuck these skeletons. I mean, they were babies. They didn't have sentience or whatever. But you had already dismissed your entire past, Busy. So it wasn't like you had this like tie to the place.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was like, oh, this is just so interesting.
If there was an ability to be able to save them, that
We're
was
trying.
something I was gonna want to do
Yeah.
that because when Busy came out, Busy was given the chance at like a second life, and the idea that they weren't going to be able to get that or at least experience it if that was what they so chose to do. Now, unlike with me and Fibs, they still have their memories and all those other things, and because they don't have a skeleton version of them around on this plane, I think that means that it's easier for them to like move on and do other things because they're not anchored and it's not this weird half there, half
it's
there
a
thing.
good death. It's a good undeath.
It's a
too.
good undeath, but I did, Busy did like the idea of being able to give someone, a second shot at a different life. But it just wasn't. It wasn't in the cards because of volcano. And you can't. Look, you can do whatever you can to try to baby bird someone, but you can't baby bird someone out of a volcano.
Well,
That's
you
what
can
we
try.
know.
You can
You
try.
can try. You try.
I tried.
It took a baby bird and a baby spider. We did it.
What about for you guys? What was the most shocking moments for you guys?
I'm torn because one begat the other. I think probably without a doubt the most shocking was the death of Tippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of when characters die. It's one of the most brutal things to have to go through as a player and as a DM as well. But the way it was handled and the aftermath and the stories it enabled, because it could just easily be like a huge disappointment. You can just feel like, cool, I blew it and I thought my character's over and like this sucks. But the fact that we were able to not only retrieve you, but then go on this much deeper journey as a result into our characters.
Yeah.
That to me was like so thrilling. And I have to say, apart from that, the most shocking moment, because that was just like pure shock factor, but the one that like, maybe when I saw the way things were turning, I could have anticipated like someone's gonna die. What I could never have guessed in a million years is when the amazing Ross Bryant sat down at this table
Yeah.
and he opened his mouth and I was like, no, no, you're me, you're Fibs, you're me. Oh no, oh no.
Yes, what a gift.
And then just how everything shook out there with the whole etheric realm and the memory palace and just sort of having to make maybe the most difficult decision. I think it was a no-brainer, but it was still ultimately very difficult and I think a real turning point potentially for the campaign because I feel like there was probably a lot more. We could have easily pursued that. Though, like, let's reclaim our lives.
I didn't know how it was going to happen, but from the beginning of the campaign, I was like, there's going to need to be an opportunity for them to regain their real life. And I wanted that. I wanted that opportunity, but it was almost like from the get-go, it was very clear, they don't want it. They don't even want it. But the opportunity still needed to present itself, and that's why Nguyen dropped the hint, and Busy read the, comprehend languages with Asa, and it was just this moment where I was like, if they need the choice, because the choice, one way or the other, will, I think, change the dynamic of where the story goes.
Yeah, and I liked so much about this campaign is about, like, how much does our past define us? How much do assigned roles define us? And to have that moment of, do we decide that, we want to go back and try to regain all of these things? Or do we decide, hey, that was as much as our life in the dungeon and us really working hard to become who we are. These were decisions we've all been making as we'd been out of the dungeon to figure out a life and figure out who we are. Do we want to lose that to go back to a life? And for Busy in particular, to go back to a life where she sounds like she was super unhappy with it anyway. And this is an opportunity now to just say, we're leaving all of the past behind. That doesn't matter. They had their life. They had their chance. This is our chance now to go forward and do something else. And also, I think it was important that our characters made that decision to not be like, we would be more valid if we went back to being an elf, if we went back to being a dwarf, if we went back to being these more heroic archetypes, and deciding instead, I'm gonna rock with what I am because what I am now as these skellies is good enough, and we don't have to try to fit in and be what other people's idea of a hero is. I'm a hero as I am.
Yeah, I like that we were sort of unspoken, just like instantly aligned on the same page with that.
Yeah, it surprised me too.
And I think for Fibs, it was just seeing the sort of like wretched, hateful creature that Filvarel had become, and if that was
hats off to Ross Brown.
Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was
and
so
that poor
good
guy,
because,
the email I sent him.
But it was believable too because it's this character who's been trapped in this weird sort of stasis in a realm beyond comprehension, just chasing an elusive memory that they can't find and just having to relive memories in a way that you can never really recapture.
Yeah.
Just like it would be maddening. And he captured that madness beautifully in a way that was so twisted that made Fibs think, if chasing my memories leads to becoming this, then I don't want them.
Fair enough.
I'm happy with what I can remember. And what he had remembered up to that point was instructive because he was still intrigued.
Yeah.
But that was someone else. This is his new chapter. This is his new lease on life. And it was just exciting to make that choice. Just it felt like the natural thing to do. But yeah.
Any shocking moment for, I guess, you two? Have you said it?
Yeah, it was very much still that moment of that moment where Tippy died. That's obviously like a big, massive moment. I would also say
that for those of you at home, what actually did happen was like we stopped the stream, we stopped recording because I was like, okay, what do we do? Like what? Well, hold on, just a second. Like I need a second, I think.
Yeah, the drama on set that day was unreal.
Yeah, and then it was like, do we get him off at the set? Like what's the geography of just shooting now? And does he join the talkback? And also, like it was so intense because it's like this is a show, it's not just like, oh, it's a home game, roll a new character, it's
Right.
like, hold on, this is also a show and we're telling a story, so like, what do I do? But also, I will say, like, there are many episodes that y'all kind of skate through, and you're kind of fine, and you're kind of fine, and you're kind of fine, and then you make this move because you feel safe, because you've been fine. And it's like, yeah, but unfortunately,
yeah, that we and the shenanigans, we kept doing that because we're us and we're going to keep doing that.
Yes.
But
We can't stop doing that.
We can't
Yeah.
stop doing that.
Come
Can't
on.
stop, won't stop. But it was very important, I think, at some point where we did have the weight of our choices. And it wasn't just like, this is it. Like, if we're telling a story, and ultimately we were still putting the pieces together, but we didn't understand how big this was and how much everything was in peril again. But to be able to have a moment of, okay, these stakes are incredibly real. Like, this is fun, and we can have some cartoon hijinks. We can have the Scooby-Doo type chase. Like, we can have that really fun chase that we did through Nakbreka. But there are real stakes that happen through this.
Yeah.
And that was a moment where we really and for our characters, it's a good moment for them to grow up, because everyone has been confused so far about, like, why do they, even characters in the show, like, why do they seem to always, and there were reasons for that, but why did they survive? Like, it seems like there's an extra reason why, or it might be connected to something else. And this was a moment of, yeah, but there isn't plot armor. We do have to make decisions that are smart, and it can't always just be like, well, we're just gonna mess around the whole campaign and it's gonna be great.
It reminded me of the feeling I felt as a child when I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the first time, and you see them put one of the tunes in the dip.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be a fun Looney Tunes adventure, but you're killing this cartoon before my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Tippy's dead.
yeah. Tippy, Jason, what about you for a shocking moment?
The death was definitely shocking, but I think the more shocking moment for me was when you were like, you could be any animal you want, and I just said bird.
Babe,
You demanded, let's be clear, you put your butt down.
It was a panic decision.
And Ivy backed me up on it too. If you remember, it was like, no, man, you were so intense
the
about it.
The secret was I could not think of an animal that I wanted to be.
Oh, that was
I distinctly remember, and maybe someone, I'm making work for Matt, can put this in here. I believe the exact words you said were, I want to be a bird, final answer.
I want a bird to bite me, and that's final.
And that's
That's fine. Okay.
No, I mean,
And then a man made of nothing but circles bit you.
horrific.
And you were shocked.
Shocking.
Apparently.
Shocking.
I
moment.
couldn't believe that y'all forgot who Fug was. Fug is
I didn't forget who Fug was.
formative person in Chippy's life.
The most shocking moment to me actually was like I was all the way locked in. It would have to be Busy and Phibbs' backstory. The reveal that they were these eternal sort of cat and mouse game, and that scene between you and Ross. I was so captivated.
Yeah.
I was so into it, and it was shocking that they killed each other, and that's how it was over for them. And I don't know. There's something about that I really was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Their backstories isn't like this separate like world where they were heroes before or even villains before. They were just these two things consumed by hate. And I thought that was really cool.
Well, the one thing that I will say about planning adventures, writing adventures, being a dungeon master, or just writing in general, not writing in general, but writing TTRPGs in general, is you can go beyond genre. You can say, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. It's it's a Western now. Oh, it's eldritch horror. It's fantasy. But I don't think I'm alone in this, but I will fight to say that everything is a mystery. It's always a mystery. Yep. And your only job is to continue making it a mystery as the dungeon master. And so there were some things that we dripped out over time. A lot of things of these were decided, obviously, like deciding the Pantheon was really important for the Sundari and the Euthys, that she was this, kind of cast out, almost coward, but maybe just made the wrong decision kind of person. That and then y'all's backstory too was really, really decided ahead of time, and the flashbacks were the seeds that were planted. But yeah, I will say every TTRPG game is a mystery. Every adventure, every mini scene, it's always a mystery. Like, what are you picking up? What are you finding out? Where are the red herrings? You didn't have that many red herrings, I will say, this time.
And just back to the subject of me dying, I just wanted to be clear, like, I don't play like I know I'm invincible by any means.
Yeah.
Like, I don't play like I know I'm not going to be able to get hurt, but I didn't know that it would be that much damage and like an insta death, right? I thought it was like, oh, death saving rolls,
or they'll take me prisoner.
Yeah, they'll take me prisoner, let the dice decide.
But it was great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, we figured there would be some consequence.
I did all that math too. It's just that it was
we
death cult.
We both looked each other in the eyes and we were both like, let's just fact check the math real quick. I remember us both looking up and being like, yeah, that is enough damage.
But that's what's great about it, because immediately...
You're level 2, and it is a death cult. Like, they're not going to capture you. They're a death cult. They love killing.
And
it's their favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, immediately, like, we got to understand that. Because I think also we were like, okay, there will be ways we can sneak out of this. There will be ways that we'll be able to fix it. Immediately, we were like, oh, these dudes suck.
Yeah.
And for both us and our characters, obviously for us, we understand that at a certain point we're going to be fighting them. But it was a real quick way for our characters to go, look, we're still figuring out who we are, but what we do understand is that these guys gotta go. Because immediately it's like, oh, he did one thing, and then that really gruesome, all of those things that they were doing with Kaya, and how just disgusting that was,
Kaya.
and just again, really brutal. Genuinely very disturbing with the pointing at the people and everyone randomly dying. That was a very formative moment, I think, for our characters to be like, I guess we saved the world now because this is awful.
And it's kind of cool because like we start, torture for us in the beginning was like comical.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, sorry you're getting tortured. Sorry.
Can you do an exit interview?
Yeah. And then like to actually see like real torture go down, we were like, oh no, well I didn't see it, but I heard it in the background.
Yeah.
And it was bad. It was rough stuff. I feel bad for Kaya.
No one should go like that.
No one should go like that.
She sucked, but no one should go like that, except for what's his name, Gnome Snitch.
And for everybody at home, I just want you guys to know, like, we don't know we're safe, and you say you're on our side, but I hear every time you miss your dice, you go, dang it. and Q, Matt or somebody in post, do a supercut of Amy laughing maniacally when she rolls well against us.
Oh my God.
I'm
the eyes of a killer.
No, I'm a creature of habit.
The skin of a killer,
I'm a creature of habit. I like rolling high on my dice. Like, I don't know. We'll find out.
Like, I'm on your side, and you're like, the volcano tries to kill you. Dang it. The people try to kill you. Dang it.
Oh, but I get to play too.
That's true.
I'm here playing
Amy's
the game
out here
too.
min-maxing the Yesterdusters to try and one-shot us.
No, those are very balanced guys, as you could probably.
I would argue they're not balanced, considering how often I telekinetically pushed them off a ledge.
Very much off balance.
I know.
Your inner ear burnt to a crisp.
Weirdly in your favor.
Look,
their saving grace is how many hit points they have, but beyond that.
It was so funny, and I do got to tell you, there was something incredibly satisfying knowing that he had Featherfall of pushing Crandall off that building. Knowing that he would be okay. It was really satisfying.
There was that decision by the end where I was like, we're not tracking Crandall, he will be okay, and that'll be that, and that will be that.
Just personally, I was very satisfied that I got to sort of bookend the campaign, episode 2, and this with a couple of fun Featherfall moments where people are like, Are are you just going to let this person die? Or just going to, what's going?
Oh, the deer was like,
Yeah,
I really
clutch.
don't want this to happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be determined. Like, literally, if Arsena, had seen that, it would have been like, okay, great. Like, yeah, I don't even give a shit about
Our
this guy.
producer and director Graham afterwards was like, I thought you were gonna let the deer die. I was like, what's wrong with him?
If I hadn't have been disarmed, I would have definitely shot at the deer or shot at Arsena for
You
sure.
were trying.
I was definitely trying.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Well, I will, the other shocking moment, or not shocking, but very, very favorite moment was Goblin Games and y'all making me come up with all the goblin names that will go down in history. And just learning about that. And I think anyone in our audience might be able to do some very quick math on how to build a goblin name just off the top of your head and just throw some unsalivating consonants and vowels together and make a goblin name.
Well, hold on, Amy. What are the rules? Because we have an Erky Floodgunk, and then we also have a half a slice of pizza. So I'm not too sure what the rules
look, there
are.
is precedent for food-based names. I cite specifically Doug Zug Glizzy,
Doug Glizzy.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
Numby
good.
Gum Trunk.
So I'm a little unclear.
Numbing gum trunk of food.
It's a gum chunk.
Unless you're
I've
talking
had a
about
gum
like
chunk.
the gum of a rubber tree.
Okay,
I've had a mustrom, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty clear etymology.
Yeah, you just choose the worst possible thing to say and then just let her rip.
Yes,
Just let her rip.
unsavory sounds coming out of your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we got the Fummy Crust clan.
Fummy crust.
Yeah.
Well, folks, on that note, that's going to do it for us for Sagas of Sundry Quest and Answers. That is a wrap on Sagas of Sundry Goblin Mode Season 1. We thank you again for joining us on this genuinely insane adventure from everyone in the Herfladerg family, everyone from the Crust Monks, everyone from the Huffmamps, the Yorts, and also the Jaggers, to paraphrase Jason's inspiring speech in the finale. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a true pleasure. Everyone here at Geek and Sundry and Legendary Digital Networks, our partners at Realm as well. This has been such a pleasure to put together, and hopefully we'll see more adventures of Fibs, Busy, and Tippy in the future. Who knows what it holds? Someone does, and they're probably a Sundari scrying on us right now. But if you want to see more, let us know. We appreciate you taking the time on this journey with us, and yeah, we'll see you further on down the road. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.